What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Thursday evening's Anfield Agenda news roundup. Of course, my compatriot Mr. Conor Crosby broke the news to you guys earlier on today that Milos Kerkez is officially a Red. I'm going to take you through some quotes from the player himself. We're going to have a little chat around MARC, and Ibrahima Konate future looks in serious doubt at Liverpool. That and lots more to come, my friends, over the next few minutes. But as always, we want to know your thoughts, so do let us know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it. And of course, I hope to see you here tonight at 8:45, where we will go through the Konate situation in far more depth. Also, if you want the news before anybody else, and certainly before we come on and stream, don't forget to sign up to the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp channel. You can simply scan that QR code on the screen or use the link in the description. Right, loads to get through, so settle down, sit back, and let me take you through some quotes from Milos Kerkez before we jump into today's news stories. Right, Milos Kerkez, speaking about Arne Slot, said, "We talked about the tactics and the plan, where he sees and where I can improve and where I can help the team. Obviously, when the coach comes and also talks to you, it's a big thing. It's a big sign of respect." Next up, he was speaking a little bit about, well, Richard Hughes. He said, "As everybody knows, Richard brought me to Bournemouth and was a big part of why I went to Bournemouth. Obviously, also important is the gaffer. I had talks with him. I really knew when I talked to him that this was for me." Now, from a personal level, this completes the hat-trick of signings that I promised you at the start of the transfer window. And I want to just say a massive thank you to everybody for the continued support, even during those tricky times. I very rarely put my neck on the line and make you a promise, but I did promise you Frimpong, Kerkez and Wirtz would be Liverpool players, and thankfully, I'm as good as my word. Not that I really brought them to the club, but I did stick my neck out and tell you guys you've nothing to be worried about. Right, let's keep going. Milos Kerkez said, "I just want to thank everyone for really showing me big love, even before it will be announced, and keep supporting the team like you support always, because you are the biggest fan base in the world." On top of that, he said, "I started to watch when I was 13 or 14, and to be honest, was really into Liverpool. I remember a lot of legends. I watched a lot of clips about John Arnorisa and Andy Robertson. I loved a lot. I watched a lot of games of him. It's a real privilege to be here." Milos also said, "I would say in May, already coming close to the end of the season, that it started to get more serious, and finally, I'm here. You can't have much peace because it's Liverpool and you want to be a Liverpool player. I think this should be every kid's dream." Speaking about that dream, he said, "To reach my potential to the fullest and to be the best player I can, to help the team win trophies. I think it's everybody's dream to win the league, to win the Champions League, and this club is meant for it. That's my dream. I'm going to give everything." Speaking a little bit about Andy Robertson, and by the way, we have a bit more news on Andy Robertson in a few minutes. He said, "I had conversations with my brothers, and we always say that. Also, for me personally, Robbo is the best left back to have played in the Premier League. To come and to be next to such a player that has so much experience, it's important for me." Then he went on to say, "This is a club that wants to win, that needs to win. Last season, they completely dominated everybody. And of course, big congratulations, but you need to want more. And definitely from last season, the season club is going to build on and get better." He said, "I'm going to give everything, absolutely everything, to win trophies with the club and to hopefully score some goals at Anfield. I can't wait to hear the roar. See you soon." And then he said this, "We were waiting nearly every day." He kept saying to his dad, "What's happening?" And I wanted my dad to tell me. A couple of days ago, a week ago, he told me it was looking good. So that is where we're at with Milos, ladies and gentlemen. And as promised, he is a Liverpool player. Milos Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong and Florian Wirtz already through the door. MARC, well, could he be next? Potentially. More on that in a moment. But let's get stuck into the rest of the day's news. So, a move for MARC would likely not deter the wider search for somebody younger, writes Paul Gorst of the Echo. So as we mentioned, Liverpool want to bring in an experienced centre-back and a young up-and-coming centre-back. So MARC looking to be that experienced one. Liverpool are closing in, said Dave O'Seacop, on a deal to sign MARC from Crystal Palace. He has just 1 year left on his Crystal Palace deal, as we all know. Liverpool have held discussions in recent months with GUEHI's representatives, as revealed exclusively in March. Back to Paul Gorst now of the Echo, and we're moving towards the situation with Alexander Isak. He said outgoings will need to be factored in before Liverpool can plot an audacious move for the vaunted Alexander Isak, but it will certainly be a storyline worth keeping tabs on in the coming weeks, with still so much of this transfer window yet to run. When you have the echo saying that you can't rule this one out and to keep an eye on the situation, you know there's probably something to Liverpool and Alexander Isak. So, negotiations continue between Napoli and Liverpool for Darwin Nunez, writes Fabrizio Romano. Initial request in excess of €65 million for Liverpool, for Napoli, from Liverpool. Napoli are trying to work on the deal structure and feasibility of the whole package. Nunez wants the moves. Personal terms are being discussed. Still with Darwin Nunez, this time from Mike McGrath and Chris Bascom of The Telegraph. Napoli are preparing an official bid for Darwin Nunez. So as we mentioned yesterday, it does look like Darwin is closing in on a potential move to Napoli unless these negotiations, come to a crashing halt. So Atletico Madrid, it looks like it won't be Andy Robertson that will be coming in for their left back spot. Fabrizio Romano said Atletico Madrid are closing in on a deal to sign Matteo Ruggeri as their new left wing back. He's now ahead of other candidates, as MARC reports. Negotiations underway, with the final details being sorted with Atalanta. Then, here we go. Now we have the major breaking news of the day, which is the one we are going to cover in more detail tonight. We're still looking to find out as much information on this one as we can. But Santi_J_FM has said, major breaking news, Ibrahima Konate wants to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know there are going to be people who are going to say, you've got to just play him for the rest of the season. You can't just throw him in the reserves. For me, I'm going to say what I said previously. We need to play hardball here. And Liverpool only have $3.5 million left of wages to pay Konate. For me, it is worth making a statement. If you're going to lose him anyway in a year, for me, I would put him on the bench or in the 21s for the year. I would happily sacrifice the $3.5 million in wages that would be paid in that time to see him rot in the reserves if he's trying to pull a Trent, run down his contract and leave Liverpool for free. You may think differently, and I respect your belief, but for me, we have to draw a line in the sand here. And if Konate doesn't want to be here, well, time to start reminding him that there's a World Cup coming up next year, and if he wants to take part in that, he's going to need to play. So maybe it's time to sell. Let me know your thoughts on it, but as I mentioned, we'll have lots more on this one tonight. Real Madrid, Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain are interested in the defender's arrival on a free next summer. See what I mean? This is getting to a situation now where cards are going to have to be put on the table and some home truths are going to have to be dished out. 8 months ago, something clearly went wrong. Otherwise, he'd have signed by now, said Anfield Sector. And there was a quote from Paul Joyce, Liverpool close to extending the contracts of Konate and Kwanzaa, and that was all the way back in October 2024. So as you can see, things have changed, and like I've said, you don't need to be a genius to read this situation, much like the Trent situation, and see which way it was trending. And I think, like Trent, a little bit differently. Trent was a local boy, 20 years at the club. Ibrahima Konate ain't that guy. He hasn't been here 20 years. And if he wants to move on, if he doesn't think the Premier League winners are good enough to stay around with, well then, time to play hardball in my humble opinion, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, that's just my say. We want you to have yours. But most importantly, I want you to join us tonight, 8:45. We're going to go through it all. You'll get a chance to have your say. We'll see what the future might bring. And of course, we'll give you the very latest on Liverpool's pursuit of Mark A, as that looks like, well, it could bear some fruit soon. So that is it from me for now. Again, thank you to Connor for this morning. We appreciate him jumping on. You know me, I'm not up before 2. So thank you to Connor for that one. Also, if you want to come and see us for the very last time live, we'll be at the Hot Water Comedy Club, Liverpool, Sunday, 19th of October. That is the weekend of the Manchester United game. Tickets are priced at just £15 for our last ever show. We wanted to keep them as accessible as we could. And again, it is an all ages event. Ladies and gents, tonight, 8:45, I need you here. Be ready. Give us your viewpoints. We'll talk then. Much love. Bye-bye.